Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lunchtime Live. Guys, how amazing is this? I'm sitting here with literally Taylor Hicks. I can't get over it. And he's on time. He had no trouble with the link. I mean, what is happening, you guys? Taylor Hicks, welcome.
How are you, Lauren? How's it going?
Everything is pretty good. I mean, no complaints so far. Everyone is saying, hi, Taylor.
Oh, that's great. I haven't gone live in a while, so this will be good. This is kind of my first live experience in a while. So it's always good to have stuff in real time.
Yes, absolutely. Can you see the comments? Are you able to see me pinning them?
You know what? Yes. Well, no, let's see. Well, that's good. Yes. I can't see the comments now, but you know what? I got them.
Okay.
I'm getting older in my older age, so I'm going to use the glasses.
No, let me ask you, are you in Tennessee? Is that where you live, Nashville, or you live in Alabama?
I'm in between Nashville and Birmingham. So I bounce in between Birmingham and Nashville. I'm in Birmingham now. And I'll go back to Nashville this weekend. I've got a couple of shows.
I mean, I was going to say you probably have to be in Nashville half of the time because you're performing there, and there's so much music, and isn't it called the music capital? I'm the worst.
It's the music city it's basically the music capital of the world, I would think, especially in this country. For me, I've lived off and on in Nashville since I was about 30, and it's just when you're getting to a situation to where you're putting out records. Especially the musical part of the career, you have really great writers, you have great producers, you're able to the business of music is in Nashville. And it's just a good spot, and it's 2.5 hours away from my family in Birmingham and the barbecue restaurant and stuff. So it served me really well. It's a great city. You just got to be careful with all the woo girls and the bachelorette parties. They're like, and all the drunk buses and just Broadway beware.
Yes.
It's such a fun town, and I've been blessed to be a Nashvilleian for a while now.
I mean, Tennessee, I will say, we won't get into it now, but I have lots of thoughts on Tennessee. I think it's a mess. I think it's a big corrupt mess. But, this is a lunchtime live that's going to be light. So we're not talking about crime on this live stream. But
look, to your point, Nashville is becoming it's becoming a major metropolitan city. And I think, with the way that the urban core of Nashville has exploded, the crime rates, I live in the urban core, I deal with that, being a part of the urban core. And if you're a part of the urban core, it doesn't matter if you're in New York or LA, you're just going to have to deal with that. But yes, there are growing pains that I believe that city needs to take care of some of the crime, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I have just a little surprise. I'm going to share my screen really quick because I wanted to play this. It's a really amazingly fun moment. I don't know if you remember this moment. Let me unpin this. You guys, this honestly makes me so happy. And I feel like today is just one of those days where you just, I don't know, I need some happiness. I need some excitement. So I wanted to relive this. So I'm going to play it.
Here we go. The winner of American Idol Season 5 is Taylor Hicks.
I was nervous. I wanted to see your look down. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here,
I'm going to pause this for a second. Yeah.
Here's something funny for you. You know, I knew that I had to win that show because I wasn't going to ultimately end up marrying David Foster and having a child by David.
Oh, really? You knew that then, didn't you?
So, you know, and I love Catherine to death. We still chat, and she's great.
Yeah.
But, you know, I knew Catherine was well on her way to being a starlet, and obviously whatever, all she's got going on. But if you look back on it, you know, this good old boy from Alabama needed all the breaks that he could get. And luckily, I'm going up on 20 years in show business.
I mean, I'll just say, like, your voice, you have an incredible voice. And, you know, it's still, like, I watch you now and I listen to your music now, and I know a lot of people's voices can change and there's wear and tear, but your voice is still just so amazing. And you still hit all those notes. And I don't know some of the terms or whatever, but you I don't know if it's called like a riff or whatever you do. And it's wonderful. So you deserve to win, Taylor. You really did.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, the way that, you know, television, you know, the way that those shows have spun off, you know, I think that first of all, that was the last true singing competition where they only allowed vocalists. There was no guitars. Right. There was no, you know, you couldn't play instruments. You couldn't. And I think what happened was that, you know, I think in those early years, I really think that you got the best vocalists because people were voting on vocal performance, not just necessarily overall performance. And I think that it kind of graduated towards that as some of the spinoff shows because of the popularity of Idol. But I was proud of that. But, you know, obviously I had, you know, had worked on a stage for a long time, you know, growing up in Bama and around the Southeast. So I had a little bit, you know, I was the oldest Idol winner, you know, and that experience really helped me to be able to navigate not just the vocal presentation, but also the stage presentation as well.
You were the oldest winner. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I was the oldest winner. I was, believe it or not, I was, you know, how I got to Idol was through Katrina, you know, and I'm actually we were coming up or just past the Katrina mark. But yeah, I was one of the last taxi cab rides out of Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. I just wanted to get to higher ground, maybe I-10, an interstate. I ended up taking a cab ride to West Monroe, Louisiana. In 10 hours of contraflow traffic, after the storm was over, Southwest gave me a free ticket anywhere in the country to go to. So I drove to Birmingham, my hometown. I flew to Las Vegas on a whim. I said to hell with it. And I flew to Las Vegas, and my brother calls me at 2 o'clock in the morning and says, American Idol tryouts are in 30 minutes. So I ended up walking down to the convention center, and everybody was asking me where my kids were that were auditioning because I looked so disheveled. I had all of this moppy gray hair. I was like a double X Ashworth golf shirt.
That's funny.
I mean, literally, I woke up out of a dead sleep. My brother said, you've gone through Katrina, Idol tryouts are in 30 minutes, go to the convention center. And so that's kind of how it happened.
So can I ask you though, like real talk, and I think everybody wonders this, you see it on TV, you see so many people, and as the seasons, you know, went on by 5, word is spreading and everybody can see if you are a part of American Idol, your future is pretty much set. You are going to be successful. So it's packed there. There's a lot of people. How long did it actually take for you to get seen? And I always wondered this, there has to be a preliminary judging before you get to Simon, Paula, and whoever what the third one was at that time. I don't remember. Or Randy. Yeah. So
yeah, you know, there was.
Okay.
You know, there's a cattle call audition that you have to go through, and then you go through the producers, Nigel and Ken, who were great for me. Okay. And you know, I think when you have the brilliance of Nigel and Ken and what they were, you know, we were all on a mission. You know, I mean, literally, you know, I mean, it was historic television, and I was so blessed to be a part of. I felt like, Seinfeld on his run. I mean, it was like that big and that popular. It was such an amazing experience. But the people behind the scenes were on the run too. I mean, they were, Nigel and Ken. I remember them telling me in my preliminary audition, it's like, we don't want to see Joe Cocker. We want to hear Taylor Hicks. Yeah. And I thought that was very profound because, ultimately you got to sell records at the end of the show. But all of us were on an amazing journey. We were there to make historic television, and we pulled it off.
Yeah. So I just need to know, though, you were not in that outfit when you met Paula and Simon and Randy, right? You had a chance to change. You made it through the cattle call, the preliminary, or were you in like the oversized?
Oh, no. Actually, I still had the same clothes. So
I had the same. Happens in one day, like they. Just
you stay there when you go to Idol, and you go through the first round, and the cattle call says, "All right, you can stay." Show up the next morning. I didn't have any clothes, so I showed up in the same thing, and then I went through the producers. And the producers, looking back on it, I mean, looking back on it now, I mean, they had some things to work with. I don't, obviously Carrie had won before I did. So you had you had a girl win before. Mm-hmm. I don't think there was not kind of a blue-eyed soul singer, white guy type, I mean, it just kind of, look, you have to create opportunity because opportunity creates luck. But, you have to have your ducks in a row upstairs as much as you have to have them in a row downstairs. And then for me, I was, that time came and I, it wasn't necessarily for me. The break didn't necessarily happen when, I was crowned American Idol that like we just saw. Yeah. The break happened for me when I was allowed the opportunity to go to Hollywood. Because then that way I could prepare for my run and the materialization of the vision that I'd had as a kid. That's how that happened.
Yeah. And, keep in mind, the people vote on American Idol. I think I pinned Sue's comment. She said she voted for you. I remember I called in to vote. I love doing that. And I know it's a while ago, but it was really fun. And so it is a little sad how things have changed and people don't necessarily call in anymore or, whatever, but the people voted. So I think that is something that you should be super proud of. And that should have given you, I guess, confidence to know that you're going to have an audience, Taylor, regardless of what happens next. People want to see you sing and they want to see you perform. So I hope that did give you some, an extra boost of confidence besides just winning, knowing that the people voted for you.
Yeah, people were invested. And like, what was great about Idol and what's interesting about when, as I've gone through the business of meeting people and, what's interesting about idols and what's interesting about people that actually the public vote on to be their star. The people that get their records deals from A&R reps, from knowing a family friend that gets you a deal, that know the way that we did it was like completely freaking legit. It's like I didn't have an A&R. My A&R person was America.
Yeah.
And my A&R rep was American people that were voting every week. My A&R rep was not some guy in some office in Nashville, Tennessee that just decides, here's a kid that I know that's that's played baseball at, a college and can sing pretty good. And I can just plug him into the machine.
Yeah.
That didn't happen with us.
Yeah. And no, and that's incredible. And now I want to go back and I want to get some tea here. Okay. So who were you the closest with at the time? Which other contestants? I mean, you and Kat obviously spent some time together because you were the last two people, you kept moving up together, but who would you say, who are you sad to see go? Let's just put it that way, because you had a friendship, whatever.
Believe it or not, I mean, we all got to know each other extremely well. I mean, it became a competition there was some jealousy, just like every, when you go through, I mean, look at The Bachelorette. I mean, I mean, you just, there's all of that combined. But Elliot and I keep in touch. I keep in touch with a lot of people from my show. Kelly Pickler and I talk. I texted her. I text Daughtry lives in Nashville. Kat and I, we all kind of keep in touch with each other, over the years. I mean, look, it's a very, I mean, to be able to get famous but then also to be able to get famous with someone else it's kind of a double, it's kind of a crazy thing you go through. So there is this camaraderie that you have, like, you kind of look back on it and you're like, shit, like that was a lot. That was a lot. There's some of that, you just have that in common. But yeah, we keep, look, we're all after 20 years, we all are excited about each other's, career paths and, and the ups and downs that you have to go through. And I'm just really happy that everybody's doing well. And really, really sad about Mandisa too. She was a beautiful, a light, and a sweet soul.
I know. God bless her. That was just, I think 2 months ago, maybe. That was very, very recent that she was a
sweet lady.
Yeah. So I was
keeping it light.
Keep it light, guys. No crime. But speaking of crime, really quick, Andrea Up Late just joined the chat, and people in the chat, if you don't know her, check out her channel. She covers a lot of cool stories. She also goes live at night, but that's it for crime. But no, I was going to tell you, Taylor, this is super random, but I see Kelly Clarkson sometimes in the city through just like kid things, whatever. Our kids are around the same age, I believe, but I feel like I'm cool and I don't necessarily get starstruck. And I've seen her a few times, but it was last year I came face to face with her in like a doorway, and I'm still so embarrassed of this. I just looked her in the eye because she looked at me and she's holding the door for me. And do you know what I said? I hope she just forgot about it, but I just literally go, "It's you," like such a creep. And I'm like turning my head, and she's like, "Here you go." Like she was so sweet. Like, "Here, I'm holding the door for you. You can go." And I say, "It's you." And I'm just like, like, it's so embarrassing, but this is American Idol. It breeds superstars.
She's had that happen before. We all have had that happen. I wouldn't take it with a grain of salt. I mean, look, people that, and they have reactions. Look, we've all gone through the gamut of reactions with people, and I wouldn't think twice about that. That's a super sweet thing to say. But yeah, that's just, I think as you kind of, after a while, I think, it's a new, depending on where your career is. Look, Kelly's at the top of the heap right now. But everybody goes through the peaks and valleys, I mean, I went from helicopters following me for like 4 months to now somebody sees me in the grocery store, I'll snap a picture. It's like, for me at this point in my career, I just want to put out the best art and be a really credible artist and enjoy my life. And I've kind of fallen into, what fame has done. Look, I got the t-shirt. I got a really big t-shirt from that. Yeah. And, now it's just getting back to where the art is for me and the artistic credibility, but Kelly is, look, I think as you go along, I think people become more down to earth. I mean, being around Kelly, I mean, Kelly gets it, I mean, she's, she's just, she's a good old girl from Texas with an amazing voice and has done a really fantastic job of learning how to host television and be a part, be in, and she's smart as a whip. You can't, it takes brains to be cognizant of live television and being able to host. And she's, she's Kelly Clarkson, and there's a reason for that. And she's sweet. So don't.
Speaking of live television, that's how we met. I was telling my chat yesterday that we met doing a hit about Taylor Swift. And I don't know if you remember this, but like they didn't tell me that I was going to be on with you. And I just can't help myself. Again, talking about live television, I literally said during this hit, I was like, oh, Taylor Hicks, I'm literally so excited to be on with you. And I couldn't help myself. I just blurted it out. And it's like, honey, we're not talking about Taylor Hicks right now. I'm just like, cool. Well, then tell me next time that he's going to be right there.
Well, you're sweet. I appreciate that.
Well, that was funny though. And then I found you after and I'm like, be my friend.
Yeah. And I was. And we are. Like, and look where we're at.
Here we are. But no, you are still touring. You are still performing. I mean, tell me about like what you have coming up music wise and where people can find you singing live or, you know, wherever.
You know, it's real. I mean, my socials are official Taylor Hicks and obviously TaylorHicks.com. I have all my shows up, Facebook, the whole gamut, everything, TikTok, obviously. You know, I am playing shows. I do a lot of private shows. You know, it's interesting for me because, you know, everybody wants this big album release, but that's just not the business anymore. The business is releasing singles, you know, releasing music over a period of time, over the year. And I love that because I'm fortunate to have had, you know, a record done in the last few years where I'm going to start to do that. And a lot of people don't realize that, you know, for someone in my position and our positions, depending on where the artist or the career artist is, you know, it takes money to release music. You know, I mean, you know, I for me, I'm a little bit of old school. You know, I kind of come from the old school mentality of records and stuff. You know, and the getting used to being able to releasing a single every 6 months and stuff. That's new to me because I was always a record guy. You know, release a single. But yeah, I've got a really great bank of new music that, you know, I like to you know, I like to also piggyback my music with something, you know, whether it be, you know, maybe The Masked Singer or maybe, you know, something that's a big thing that can get a lot of eyeballs on it. And then you give yourself the best position to put eyes on it. And then you put the ears on it. And then, you know, it's a business, you know, and that's kind of how my model has kind of developed over the years. And, you know, I'm doing a lot of auditioning for film and TV. I've gotten into that. It's you know, it's a labor of love, you know, and I mean,
don't I know it? Literally, don't I know it? Well, I have another surprise. Sorry, because I love this, and I did this with Jeff Timmons from 98 Degrees. The chat will know I embarrassed the shit out of him. So just give me a second to do it to you, okay?
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I know. Hold on. And all right, I'm pulling this up right now. Yes, you know what I'm about to do right now.
And this year's American Idol actually got more votes than any president, actually. There you go. His debut CD, Taylor Hicks, comes out on December 12th. Ooh, the same day as your movie. Ooh, so you could listen to that and then go watch the movie. Oh, please welcome Taylor Hicks.
Oh, you're so cute.
It's a whole new education. I'm learning from you all the time. There's no need for explanations. Your examples do just fine. I'm getting an A in broken hearts.
Oh, nice.
I got my degree in crying. You tell me it's not fair, but I am so gone. Oh, I loved you, and why'd you do me so wrong? And to think I said that singing you a love song. Well, I give you everything, and all I get from you is your run around.
I love it. I love it.
So I've got a little something there.
Yeah.
So do you see my backup singer? My female backup singer.
Let me go back. The woman, yes.
Yes, that is Melanie Yema. You need to Google her right now.
Okay, Melanie. She's right there. I got her.
That's Melanie.
How do you spell her last name?
Y-E, I don't know.
You said Yema?
Melanie Yema.
Oh, wait, I got it.
Just Google this. Google Taylor Hicks, Taylor Swift's backup singer.
Let's see. Is it? Oh, wait, hold on. I got it. There's a silent N in her name.
Yes, Yema. Yes.
Okay. Taylor Swift fandom. Oh, she's one of Taylor Swift's backup singers now.
So I gave Melanie her first little start in music.
Aww.
And put her on the road with me. And she went on to be she's been with Taylor for maybe 8 or 9 years. Beautiful, wow. Sweet, very professional, and I'm like the proud dad.
Aw, no, that's really cool.
That's just a really, we were talking about Taylor Swift, so I figured that was, when you put the runaround up, I thought that was really, apropos.
But I just really enjoyed your performance, and I look stupid, but that was genuine of me. I really was moving along and dancing and enjoying myself. It's hard not to. There is a question. I'm going to pin it right now. Taylor, do you prefer that the quarterly single over the quote story a full album can explore?
I think that everybody's attention span is becoming less and less these days. And I think that personally, if you waited and sat on a full-length record and released that full-length record, you would not get the mileage out of what you would get if you release single and then single and then single. It's all about attention span. And, that's something that I've had to learn how to deal with over the past years, because it's our attention span as a consumer for entertainment. It's like that. So I think it's like, oh, great, Taylor had a big album. And then it's like, then I got to go back and create another whole album.
Yeah.
But if you've got a whole album, you can have these, you can have these little, interims where you get the same amount of buzz over time for 4 or 5 different things, as opposed to maybe just a little bit more buzz for one. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And you're right. I think that people's attention spans, definitely I think it was when Netflix first came out and we were spoiled enough to get to watch an entire season of a television show in one sitting, as opposed to waiting week to week and having all these commercials. So totally think that you're right. And Sue says it's a different world now from the full vinyl album days. So good point.
And vinyl's a thing. We could talk about the vinyl. We could talk about the vinyl thing here. Vinyl is a little bit expensive to make. It is a timepiece. It's not everybody has record players.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why artwork is more, is on par with the actual content of the work. Because you're always going to have an album, if you're going to have a Taylor Hicks album. Like, I studied album art when I was a kid, from like the Breakfast in America to City by City by, Jerry Rafferty. I have a book on my coffee table, and it's like the greatest album art of all time. And that's something that's really cool. It's I thought about putting, a vinyl record together, but again, being just completely transparent, a Dancing with the Stars hit or something like that. I mean, something that, it's like, bam, all of a sudden, there's T, man. What is he, that's when you release, music. Now, there's some really cool shit that you can do live. So live is a whole different monster. Like I could go do a version of, you know, Bob Seger's Night Moves and do it live, and it would, you know, it would be the equivalent. People just want content, you know, and that's the key.
Definitely. I'm gonna just pull up some of these. Isn't that why labels do the trickle release for the full album? And going back to some of the singles, I 100% believe that, and I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah, it's the trickle deal. You know, it's people. I mean, look, it's a business. It's called it's music business. You know, you're trying to make money. I mean, you know, I mean, I love being an artist and stuff, but you know, you also have to have some business acumen in this thing. And I think the trickle, you know, you have to trickle, you know, I think, but you also have to, you have to have great fucking songs, you know, I mean, you have to like, you know, follow up, you know, I think Tommy Richmond did a really good job of having two big songs, you know, the $1 Million Baby, great track.
Wait, I'm the worst because I don't know who that is.
And then he followed it up with something. He followed it up with something else that was really good. I mean, that's how you sell albums. Is that you can't have just one hit, right? I mean, look, you know, Bulletproof by LaRue was love that song, you know. But when you follow it up with another hit, like you need two hits, I think, for people these days and consumers to be able to say to themselves, okay, there's two great songs. I'm digging into the record now.
Yeah. You know? I think of like someone like Dua Lipa always puts out hit after hit after hit too. And you're like, oh, this is great. But you're right. It's funny because when I go to get like an album or something, or I go to search a song because I'm in the car and my kids want to hear it or whatever, it is funny how so many songs don't belong to an album. And then when you find the album that it belongs to, you're like, oh, I don't really care. You're like, I guess maybe I'll listen to a couple more songs, but I don't really know. So yeah.
The trickle down theory is smart in this day and age.
Yeah. Yep. Totally agree. Because it's like, and you know, I'm going back to when I was growing up and going to Sam Goody and these record stores. And like, what I really enjoyed was spending $4 on a single. I loved that. I'd have my allowance money and I would go and I'd buy the NSYNC single or, you know, whatever it was. So wait, we have a question, Taylor, and we brought it back to crime. Lauren's a true crime podcaster. Are you into true crime? And if so, what stories have you followed?
Oh man.
It's okay if you're not, though. If you're not,
you know,
so
no. I think the serial killer thing was really, I think it's, I think I'm into that a little bit. My dad worked on death row in Alabama as a dentist in the 80s.
What?
So he would come home with some stories about learning the psyche of death row inmates in Kilby and Tutwiler Prison in Alabama. So we always got some interesting, he was a psychology major at the University of Alabama, and then he went on to be a dentist. And but he ended up doing some experimental experience work, being the prison dentist for the maximum security prisons in Alabama and women's and men. And I think that's kind of where I was kind of sparked, because he would explain to me some of the he worked on death row inmates a lot more than general population, because I believe at the time death row inmates were allowed to see, they were allowed access because of their status as death row inmates. They were allowed access to more medical, so they could go see the dentist, they could go see. So it was interesting, that perspective that my dad brought home when I was a kid about some of these really famous death row inmates that were like on Geraldo and stuff at the time. So that was kind of like, was really cool for me. It kind of sparked my interest as far as true crime. I don't follow it as much, but every now and then I'll get on a really, I'll find an interesting case. And when I mean case, I mean a person, and follow like what their psyche is. I guess just because Dad kind of did that when we were kids.
Yeah, human behavior is fascinating, and everyone in this chat will agree. But now I'm curious, do you remember any of the infamous killers on death row in Alabama that he would talk about?
There was one lady named Judith Ann Neely who was I think she might have been one of the most famous female death row inmates in Alabama. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get into what her story was. If you'll look it up, it's awful. But it's, I mean, that is a something that I'll always remember. And it was a testament to my dad and what he went through at the time, and it was interesting watching all of those dynamics. And now he's in dentures. He's got a denture practice in Jasper, Alabama. Shout out to Same Day Dentures in Jasper, Alabama. But he's been there.
Yes,
he's been there 40 years. Dad's doing great. But yeah, that was an interesting time in our life because Dad had a lot of he had a lot of that experience. So yeah, true crime was I'm definitely interested in some interesting some of the suspects that you hear that come out. So yes, I am a little bit into true crime, not too much though.
I mean, you kind of just blew my mind with that. Your dad literally was a dentist on death row. And I watched this documentary on HBO, and it was kind of talking about, and this is different. Your dad didn't necessarily, thing is, I feel like even though he's in their mouth, they can't really talk, but he probably heard a lot. And he probably did act like somewhat of a psychologist to these people because, and that's what some of these people in this documentary were saying and how they couldn't handle it anymore. They said they were so mentally exhausted from working death row because some of the people they felt maybe shouldn't be on death row, that they would be, how do I say this, more, or they'd be better off doing life in prison to be role models for other inmates and do good within the prison, if that makes sense. Because
absolutely. It was it, and look, anytime you can get out of your cell, you do that. Right. And so whether, you have a toothache, whether something's wrong with your arm, if you can get out of your cell. My dad always said too, what was interesting is that they had cats. The women were allowed to have pets like cats. So there was like cats. Yeah, that was
in the prison.
It was. Yeah, in the 80s. Yeah, they would have. Yeah, death row is a completely total. Wow. I don't look. I'm not going to go any further because I just pulling from what I learned. Right. When I was growing up. But like death row is a completely separate entity instead of general population. There's a whole lot of different dynamics there. But yeah, my dad was like, the cats, and like it was interesting to say the least. So keeping it light. Keep it light.
But no. Okay, last thing I'll say about this, because Alabama is the freaking wild, wild west. I don't know if you saw this a few months ago, maybe. It was actually really disturbing. Sorry, I don't know why I laugh. It's like not funny. It's really horrible. But Alabama used gas to kill someone on death row, and apparently it made national news, and it was apparently very excruciating. And you're just like, dude, I don't know what this guy did. I think he maybe killed a priest or something, or whatever, but still I'm like, man, Alabama, you are no joke. You are really no joke. But
I think that my personal take is on that is that there might be options to how someone does that. I don't know. I obviously take whatever the media says with a grain of salt because you don't know. I think that sounded really bad, and it totally is. But there's a lot more than meets the eye about that.
Yeah. No, I totally.
But that is a very cruel sounding way to be exterminated.
Yes. And so I just remember reading that and thinking, what the hell state is this? And then I'm like, oh, okay. Yes, Dizzy agrees with you. It is awful. But anyway, sorry to go down that road.
No, it's great.
Now, okay. So when you are, when you're hanging and you're not working, what do you like to do for fun? Are you constantly just, singing and working on your voice and playing instruments?
I like to, when I get a chance, I like to go scuba diving. I'm a pretty avid scuba diver.
Wow.
I like to go down underwater. It's, I find myself in a very tranquil spot over the years getting to dive. I don't do any sort of crazy diving. I just go recreational diving. I get on, I wake up in the morning, get out on dive boat, dive, do 2 dives, and I'm watching college football by, drinking beers at the bar.
Oh no, we lost him. We got you back. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that. That was Mom, believe it or not. So yeah, I love that. College football is a big part of me. Friends and family. I'm very blessed. I lead a great life. I've got a great crew with me. I just love to play golf.
So
cool. Golf and scuba diving is kind of my jam.
So, okay, there's a couple questions in the chat, but I did see one of your tweets that my husband would not be okay with, which was during the Michigan game. And look, I cannot stand football, but he's from Ann Arbor, and you had a very polite way of saying muck Fishigan. And I want to say, yes, I agree with you because I'm so sick of
it's all in good fun. I mean, look, it's probably because I was betting on them. And that's probably where a lot of people on Twitter, when I start talking sports hate and stuff, a lot of that comes from me being a gambler. And
love it.
that's and I just thought about it. Look, I mean, to get into it, look, Twitter. That's exactly what Twitter's for. Is for diarrhea, spontaneous diarrhea of the mouth. That is what Twitter was invented for.
Yeah.
Twitter's like, this is what I feel at. Like, deal with it. Like, it's all word vomit, and like, I mean, that's like.
This is so true. Look at
that's what Twitter's for. It's like any kind of like whatever it is, whether it's a crazy, you can like, it's like a space to like go word vomit and see what somebody says about it, So exactly. I think a lot of the sports stuff comes from my, probably my disappointment in my bets. But you know what? Listen, look, if I didn't say Muck Fishigan, then that means that if I didn't say that, I didn't respect them. That was a great football team. They have a great athletic program. And their fans are crazy. I'm just an SEC guy.
Yeah, no. And wait, so what's your team?
I don't tell my teams because I grew up in the state of Alabama, and it's either Alabama and Auburn.
Yeah.
And the only night that Alabama and Auburn fans ever agreed on something was the night that I won Idol, and I'm not messing that up at all. But people know what fan I am. You just got to do a lot of digging, but I don't give up that ghost.
Oh, Taylor, you are talking to people that dig all day. Literally all they do is dig. So we will have
dig away.
We will have an answer by tomorrow. Disney, Sheila, Sue, please, if you will. No, just kidding. But really, so there was just going back really quick, if I could, to Idol. There was a question, Sheila. Was there anything negative about winning Idol, weird fans, or any bad press that came out after?
Let's see. I mean, the negativity. I mean, look, there was always negativity. It wasn't when I won. I mean, there was negativity. As soon as you get into the public spotlight, especially that kind of public spotlight, it's like, you're fair game. You still are. Your family's fair game. That was the tough part for me, is because, I mean, man, you didn't have the internet back then. You had Star Magazine, and you had OK, and you had, Reader's Digest. You had like 5 things you could, and if they wanted to write anything they wanted to, they could. And they also went into your family. It was very similar to, what the rules were probably for the French paparazzi back, there's like, back then, middle 2000s, there wasn't, internet was just, social media was just becoming a thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, all of our information that we were given were magazines and, you know, 15 or 30, you know, news channels.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah,
it's like, it
right.
wasn't, but yeah, I mean, look, I just think that you've got to take that with, you know, you just got to take the good with the bad, you know,
Right.
you got, it
Right.
sucked, you know, I mean, look, I mean, I never, you know, I've always tried, you know, it sucked when the family thing, when they dug into that, that was like, man, you know, you got to draw the line somewhere, you know.
Oh, they actually did dig into your family.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There was like I mean, yeah, there was like, I mean, I think like when I was like one morning I was getting coffee, like when I was like, you know, I think it was one of the closer weeks towards the end of the season. It was like,
yeah,
you know, Taylor Hicks's family's checkered past was like on the cover, and it was like 3 pages of my whole family and what the journalists did.
What?
Yeah, it was rough.
Right before, and you hadn't won yet. This was just leading up to it.
Yeah, this is just it was there was all kinds of shit. But you know,
oh God,
you just have to weather that. That's something that look, you sign up for it, you better be ready to deal with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to think that those days have somewhat subsided.
They
just
have.
Just a little. Except I'll tell you what got me is when, and I was really disappointed in Page 6, but this was after Justin Timberlake got the DUI. Page 6 was like dragging the cop. They're like, he's an overzealous. I'm like, I'm sorry. Are you guys literally running a story and printing this guy's face, asking for him to get harassed by psychopaths because he freaking did his job? That is where I'm like, no.
And you know, let's not forget, Justin has had a lot of inroads with a lot of press. I mean, he's been around for a long time, and he's had great publicists, and you know, I mean, you know, I think stars are getting arrested now because it gets them in the press.
Because yeah, I mean,
I think that where we have gone as far as a, you know, as where we have gone as far as a kind of pop culture society.
Yeah.
I think there, you know, I mean, look, there's been all kinds of publicity stunts over the years. I mean, but you know, I think what we've I feel instinctively, it's like, you know, go get a DUI, you know, put out, you know, it's not going to kill you. It's going to get you in the press.
That's true. And that's, you know, I forget where I was talking about this, but DUIs are more common nowadays. And yeah, and that doesn't make them right, because we see different levels of what can happen and when you drive under the influence, whatever. But no, I guess I just feel like, and maybe if this is just me, but I used to be so big on buying all of those magazines. I don't think I bought one, and maybe I'm just a grown-up now, but I haven't bought one in like 10 years. So I'm like, are these magazines still a thing, or do we just scroll on our phone and get?
I think it's all phone. I think when you get those magazines, I think they're all just kind of timepieces that you pick up, or if something.
Yeah,
it wasn't like that. You know, I was very fortunate again to be able to have the eyeballs on me, and for all of us that were on that show during that time, it was. You know, to be able to have those eyeballs on me and just have those very few products to get your hands on to see what you're up to has, you know, really helped our careers over the long run.
Yeah, definitely. I hope, Melissa, I hope you don't get mad at me for this, but you did put it in the chat. So she just said, thank you for answering the question. She grew up in Alabama, Midfield. I don't know. She spent a lot of time in Hoover. You guys have mutual friends on Facebook. And she had a tiny crush on you, which I don't know, Melissa, when I say it's something like that, it's usually exaggerated.
That's
right?
sweet. Keep those good old Alabama Midfield roots grounded, girl.
Is it a small town, Midfield?
Yeah. Midfield's great. It's close to Birmingham.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. And you know, I did want to ask you not to embarrass you or anything, but after you won and when you were on it, you probably noticed, and I interviewed Chris Farley's brother, and, you know, something Chris Farley said was like, you know, I never dated supermodels before, and now they're banging down my door, you know, so it's kind of interesting, but I'm okay with it. Did that happen to you where, you know, you're dating the girl next door, then all of a sudden you got, you know,
you know, here what was interesting about my run. I mean, I definitely had some fun right after Idol because I was living in LA. I was at Hyde every night.
Oh yeah.
I mean, partied in the hills, partied with everybody that you could possibly imagine, and had a blast doing it.
Yeah.
But what was interesting though is that when during that time period of 6 months when I was living in LA right after Idol, I didn't really have time to, I mean, I had the time to party with everybody. Sorry.
No worries. I'm just laughing at you. Yeah. Okay.
I had time to party. I had about 6 months, but I was doing records. Like I was getting a record done, so I really didn't have a lot of time. I mean, I was like on the road Idol tour. I mean, it was like there was like probably I felt like it was like
Tours
a 4-week period.
Fun, Taylor. Tours can be very fun.
Yes, I mean, they were. But as far as like the Hollywood starlets and stuff, I mean, I don't kiss and tell, never have. But it was trust me. I read something about that not too long ago, where it was like the early 2000s in LA, middle 2000s, the club scene was just like out of control. Yeah. You had like all the people going to different, and it's not that way anymore. It feels like it's like
no.
I mean, you could probably say that for people for New York too. Like
I was just thinking that. I have to tell my husband. He was telling me, he's like, so and so's going to this club. There was like a conference in town, and I'm like, oh well, then so and so's a loser because nobody goes to clubs and no one thinks it's cool to donk off $5,000 on a bottle of vodka. Sorry, we're not in that place anymore. And he's like, wait, clubs aren't cool. And I'm like, no. When's the last time you heard of someone going to Marquee or like 10 June, wherever the hell we used to go? And I don't know, but you are so right. I remember wanting to be in LA. I really wanted to go out with Paris and Lindsay and Misha Barton. My God, the girls of the early 2000s. I so wanted that to be my life. And now it is so not a thing. You're so.
Yeah. And we were, like I said, I was lucky because, man, I came off that show, I mean, during the show, I would sneak, I mean, just because I was the oldest, I mean, I would be like, I gotta have a drink, like I would sneak off to hide and to have drinks. And I mean, it was the ultra exclusive, but it was great because, everybody kind of, it's like, it really truly is when something happens like that with you. I mean, you are just trying to find some sort of sense of like commonality with anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like for people that have the same, like the people that, they're the same people that are waiting for you outside, they're waiting for them outside. So there's like this, like you understand, and that was always kind of good for me in a therapeutic in a way, good and bad.
Yeah.
That was kind of a therapy, but yes, I burnt that town up. So don't think anything different than that.
No, I love that. I'm actually really glad to hear that.
I wish it was still like that, like I really do. Like the days of going to, the clubs and really, but now it's like, I mean, why would you want to go spend $15,000 on a table and then 4 bottles of vodka late, 3 bottles of vodka later, you're partying with other people who are drinking your vodka.
Yeah.
And then you're drinking their vodka. And then by the end of the night, it's like, I mean, unless you're a Russian billionaire, or it's like, I mean, it's, I don't know. I still like the club though, man. I mean, look, like I had a Vegas show when I was like in my early 30s and I spent 2 years I lived on the Strip.
So cool.
And, they called me when I would go to the clubs. They called me Juan Solo because I had like the light wands that everybody and I like started flipping it and stuff. And so what was my favorite thing of that, the club thing, was this, like we would all sweat. I mean, clubs are so gross.
So sweaty.
I mean, it's like everybody's this giant festival, but at the end of the night, some of the DJs would like unleashed the CO2 cartridge on me. So it was like frozen. It was all cold. Like all my sweat would freeze. You know,
Wait,
I mean, it was like,
how was your voice? I'm just curious, like you were able to hold it down, go to the club, go do a show, go to the club, like, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, yeah, it's a muscle, you know, but I wouldn't do it. I mean, I would sing for a couple of hours and then, you know, then we would go out and have a blast. And I mean, that was, but you know, I kind of missed the club days, you know?
Well,
I mean, like the good old school clubs.
Just like Disney said, the literal late 90s to 2000s, those were the good old days. But if you come to New York, I will take you out. It'll be so fun. I just did this with a few actors that were in town. I was trying to get a scoop on something. This actor was in Rust. He wouldn't give me any scoop at all. I know, F him. No, I'm just kidding. But no, we ended up going. I stayed out way too late. I told my husband, I literally put like a location on. I'm like, here, I'm going to drop my location just so you know, because it will be late. And it was. I think I got home at like 3 or something like that. But
good for you.
Now, thank you. Now it's like you go to the bars that you used to go to as I don't want to say a teenager, but yeah, I was 19 when I lived here for the first year. I'm going to those bars. There's popcorn on the ground. There's bands that are playing cover music. It's amazing. Like, why would you not want to do that? And you go from place to place to place until
Nashville, Broadway.
Exactly. Well, like I said, Nashville scares me. I'm not looking to be, I don't know.
You're reading too much. You're reading. Broadway is, you need to come in. I mean, Broadway's safe. When you get this much traffic, there's always going to be something, but don't stay too far away from Broadway in Nashville. You'll love it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I will say I feel safer in New York City than I do in Nashville. It's
a lot. Broadway's like really super condensed.
I mean, I think it's mainly just because I've just seen certain things from people in law enforcement and the people that are lawmakers and, you know, oh wait, we're not supposed to get into that. My bad. Oh my gosh, my bad. So anyway, okay, last thing before I let you go, I just want to know about Simon. Was he all bark, no bite, or was it just what you see is what you get?
All bark, no bite.
Yeah.
Super sweet. You know, I think he was, it's a very interesting, it's very interesting the way that his dynamic and it was like the more that he said, the more he said negatively only affected me positively. There was this kind of, it was a very, and look, you know, during that time, I mean, I'm from Alabama. Like Simon Cowell was the first British person that I ever met in my life. And, you know, I tell people that like, there's only 2 British people walking around the state of Alabama and they're lost.
Right.
You know, so like he was like the first dynamic of a British person that I ever had. And to be quite honest, when you look at the, you know, you look at the demographic for, you know, Idol fans and viewers over a whole, you could probably say that a good number of them felt that was their first true reaction and experience with a British person as well. Because if it was mine, I know it was somebody else's, right? So I think that like the dynamic, I think that's the reason why the dynamic worked so well on television at that time with Idol. But you know, look, he was a very important part of creating that television history we had together.
Yeah, I just always imagined him ripping someone and then running backstage and being like, "Great job, give me a hug."
Yeah, yeah, it's all, you know, but yeah, he had, look, the business acumen again is important.
Yeah, yeah. No. Okay,
I had fun.
You have to sing a line really quick. You have to sing something.
Thanks for having me, Lauren, on this wonderful podcast.
I love it. Thank you so much. That really really made my day. Oh my gosh.
Great. Great talking to you.
What's that?
I said it was great talking to you.
No, it was so amazing. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you so much. I hope you come back.
Absolutely. I'll be doing some shows in New York and stuff. I'm gonna be on tour once I get a couple of singles moving, and early next year. So things are moving along in Soul Patrol world.
I love it. Okay, well, everybody in the chat, if you look at the description on this show, you will see all of Taylor's socials. You'll see his website. You'll see everything. And now you have to tell me when you come to New York, because I'm coming to your show. I'm going to be front row, and it's going to be great. So
it's going to be amazing. We're friends. We're keeping in touch. Have a great week. Love you. See you. Bye.
Thank you, Taylor. Bye. Okay, and I'm just going to put this up. Hermit Sal, you are a member. Thank you so much. I'm so happy. So I'm going to go back and pin really quick what Disney said. And Sal, thank you. Sal has been listening to me since I was on the radio back in 2021. He's just so, I have to just say, I'm being so emotional right now, but I really do. I thank Sal. After I left the station, he followed me, and he's just been very supportive. So like all of you. And so Disney said, you guys make sure to get your memberships today. I am hosting a members only stream tonight. It is, I'll be airing my interview with Rudy Giuliani about 9/11, and Rudy will not be on the stream. It's a pre-recorded interview, but it's a chance to hang out with me casually. My kids might pop in and ask me for shit, whatever. They can handle it. But yeah, and I'm going to air the interview before it airs tomorrow on 9/11, but I think you'll really enjoy it. It's sad, but and yes, Taylor is amazing. Oh my gosh, he's so nice. I'm pinning all these comments, and he's so down to earth, and he's so freaking talented and adorable. So yes. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to run because I have a meeting, but I'll see all the members tonight at 7. So all right, thank you. Bye.